Hi, this is Nate Sexton, and you're listening to the Amside Podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Amside Podcast, the show that talks about all things disc golf. From weekend rounds with our mates to the Pro Tour over in the States, we've got you covered all from an amateur perspective. My name's Rob, and as always, I'm here with my co-host Dale.
Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm very good, Dale. It's been a beautiful week, especially down here in the south, so I'll be able to do a little bit of field work without having to dry my disc off after every single throw. So, what's better than that?
You can't get better than that, mate. Well, I suppose you can. We have finally got live disc golf back.
Whoop.
I've been waiting for this all off season, and it's been finally good to see the boys and the girls in action.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is our first. Since getting into disc golf, this is our first off season. So we started the game. We're used to week on week coverage, and then we've had nothing. We've been empty, right? So getting back to some live coverage has been absolutely a breath of fresh air. And I mean, we're going to get into it this episode, but what a start it was to the season.
Oh, what a weekend of disc golf! It was gripping. It's been really, really good. Some people surprising us. Some people doing the same old. But yeah, you're right. We'll get into it, and we'll go into the nitty gritty of this weekend.
So why don't you tell listeners a little bit about what we're going to be talking about this episode? I mean, people have seen it online. They know what to expect. We've got a great guest lined up, but why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, I won't make the same mistake as I said last week, because it is no secret, is it, Rob? Because we have blasted it everywhere. This week, we have got none other than Mr. Nate Sexton on the show. How awesome was that?
Oh, is there a bigger name in disc golf at the moment? One or two, but absolutely not. It's amazing. The definitely some top caliber guests we're getting on the show now.
Yeah, no, exactly, mate. And we're just getting started. As we always say, this is just the beginning of Amside. So, no, let's get into it, mate. And let's go through Vegas. But why don't we start with just a little bit on the All-Star weekend, because we didn't really cover that.
Yeah, and just before that, a little bit of business. Don't forget that the podcast is sponsored by dischub.co.uk. We've said it before. They've got an unbeatable range of brands on offer. They've got great prices, great customer service, quick shipping. If you haven't been over there yet, make sure you do yourself a favor and get over there, because they're doing all the right things. So yeah, All-Star weekend. Let's do a quick recap. Obviously, it was just sort of a little taste of the season to come, but some really interesting stuff that was beginning to show. So obviously, one thing we've spoken about quite a bit on the show is about players with new bags. We spoke about Ezra about it quite extensively last week. James Conrad, though, he's had new bag, obviously the MVP swap, and it showed a little bit. Now, I'm not saying he did badly. He's James Conrad at the end of the day, and he's going to kill any single course that he's on. But there was a couple of times where you'd actually hear him on the mic say, "Oh, geez, that's very straight," or something, where a disc maybe surprised him outside of the field work or the field testing he's done with it. So definitely some tweaks and maybe some things that a lot of these players with new bags are going to need to make.
Yeah, I think a good point with James Conrad. I think what we can't discount is that he was thrown in 2 days before the event. He was said, this is you're playing now when Nico dropped out. So fair play to him for stepping up and showing us what he can do with MVP, because it was incredible to watch.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, James Conrad is always fun to watch. I mean, those run-ups are alone worth tuning in for. So it's definitely up there.
He's the reason James had to get more cameras, because they've got to have enough to film his runner.
Wide-angle lenses, maybe. So on the FPO side, we spoke about the Paige Pierce era, but Kona Panis has come in with the huge win on the All-Star weekend, and convincing is not the word. Obviously, it wasn't a solo performance. Scores came over from the doubles on the day one. But again, great watching Kona play. She absolutely killed it. So it just shows there's a little bit of competition out there. So Paige can't rest too comfortably at the top there. And then with Macbeth and over on the MPO, obviously Macbeth took the win. But it was tooth and nail. It came down to a playoff. Calvin Heimberg, he's my boy, Calvin Heimberg. was absolutely competing, and he was just unfortunate at the end with that playoff. And Macbeth, the king of clutch again. I've said it before on the show, managed to pull off the win. But no, it was a great start to the season. But let's jump into Vegas, because that's why people are here. Well, let's be honest, people are here to listen to Nate Sexton a little bit, but the episode is about Vegas. Let's jump into that. And what a start to the tour it was. This was far from easy. I mean, from the first round, you've got to talk about the weather. I mean, and that's what a lot of people talk about when we're talking about Vegas.
Majorly, you know, the weather. I never knew that Vegas was so windy. I generally didn't. But I suppose when people go to Vegas, they spend all their time inside. It's not really outside, are they? But yeah, I mean, what a golf course Wild Horse is. That looked incredible. If that was like open to play, obviously we never paid for it. But 3 awesome courses. Would I say the most challenging courses in the world? I don't think so. I think that showed with the scores, you know, minus, I think 45 or 40 in the end that Eagle won with. You know, that's a low score. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the figures in front of me. It was a minus 48 rounds. So obviously it's not the most challenging course. But I think it's good to have variation in courses on the tour. Obviously, the course is quite open, so you could argue it's slightly easier. But it meant that we got to see some huge arms doing exactly what they do. So Garrett Gurthey, Thomas Gilbert, Ezra Adaholt, they were able to put those massive crushes in, which, let's be honest, it's one thing that's great about watching live coverage is seeing some of those shots just disappear out of view.
Oh, some of those holes, they are long holes, and Macbeth and that sort. They look to be throwing so effortlessly, and just absolutely crushing it. Even on the FPO side, you know, Katrina Allen, Paige Pierce doing exactly the same, crushing drives. But I think Ian and Nate on Disc Golf Network put it correct. You know, the consistency and your sort of distance control was key at that golf course, 100%.
Yeah, for sure. But then let's bring it back to the weather for a second, because and talk about the guest that we've got coming on a little bit in the show, Mr. Nate Sexton. He got extremely unlucky in the first round, and a little bit of bad luck in the second round as well. And I'm blaming the weather on that, because he was throwing some beautiful shots, but some of the skips he was getting off that extremely dry short grass, they were skipping, and even the skip didn't look too dangerous, but then the wind would just flip it up on his edge, it would roll, and he was finding OB after OB after OB, which these are things that I'm sure wouldn't happen on a lovely calm day. And he wasn't the only one. A lot of people getting punished by that wind, just flipping badly, turning way too much. And obviously putting, there's a lot of missed putts this weekend. A lot of amazing putts, but a lot of missed putts. And I know as amateurs, we like a nice clear day. And as soon as there's some wind, it throws our game off. This was more than some wind. This was a gust. And I think, you know what, these guys are pros, and they played through it, and they played well within it. Day 3, day 2 and 3 were a little bit calmer, but still, it made for some really interesting golf to watch.
Yeah, and I think wind may have killed Macbeth's tournament on that one hole. You know, last round going over water, it battered his zone it down, just gone. You know, that was looking online the whole way, and I think that was it. That, you know, he had to then go to the drop zone. He then went out of bounds again. You know, putting into a tailwind putt, and it's just lifted up. You know, unfortunately, and I think that's when his tournament ended. You know, I'd love for Macbeth to win, but I can't doubt Eagle. That was an incredible performance from him. Absolutely insane.
Oh, absolutely. You talk about what the guys were saying over on the coverage, and the thing they kept saying across all 4 days was the cream rises to the top. And you look at this, you look at this finishing scorecard, the top 10 are names which you'd expect to be there. And I think it pretty much is the 10 best players in the world. Apart from one is a surprising name, and that's the guy that came in at 10th, a guy called Clint Calvin. Now, me and you, again, reasonably new to the sport, I haven't heard of this guy, but he had a exceptional tournament. And it was great to see some of these names that I'm not familiar with. Actually, you know what? Challenging some of these big dogs, because we've said it time and time again, there's space up there for a few more players. Something that's awesome as well is looking at Ezra. So we've got to talk about Ezra's performance. Second overall, which for the guy who's just got a main brand sponsor, only been touring for a couple of years, a second place finish in this tournament, just under Eagle, was phenomenal. And if you look at his PGA number, he is like, the other guys are in the tens of thousands. He's in the hundreds of thousands. That just shows how much later he's got into the game compared to the Eagles, the Wysocki's, the Macbeths.
Yeah, and I think we cannot go without saying 1100 rated round. That is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, 16 under. That is the round of the tournament, I'm fairly sure, right?
Oh,
Because
yeah,
even
massively.
I mean, Eagle didn't get 16 under. Arguably, it was on a slightly easier course because most pros were having a slightly easier time over on that course. But still, the performance that Ezra put in over the weekend was phenomenal. And obviously, we spoke to him last week, and he talked about the pressure, talked about going out there and just doing what he knows what he can do. And it looks like that's the game plan he stuck to and came away with something big. He also mentioned that he'd like to come in top 10 at the end of the year, and he is well on his way to achieving that, sticking number 2 in this first spot, which, yeah, it's awesome to see.
Definitely, mate. And he said that he wanted to win an event this year. And after that performance, I have no doubt that will happen. I think Ezra Haidhold is here to stay. I think he's out there proving every single person that said, he's gone straight to the elite team at Discraft. He has shown every single one of them why he should be on that card. And I can't wait to see what else he can do this year.
Oh, for sure. And also this has come off the back of the news of Paul Macbeth pulling in a £10 million contract of Discraft. Ezra's also with Discraft. And you look at the score. Paul came 9th, I believe, overall in the tournament, where Ezra came 2nd. So it just shows that yeah, it's not always consistent with some of these guys. I'm not saying that Paul is losing it or anywhere near that thought. But you know what? It's week on week. It's how you play. And it just shows that, again, he deserves to be on Discraft Elite because of this performance that he is capable of. But let's talk about a guy that you love more than anyone else in the world. Let's talk about Brodie Smith. He came in.
I was literally about to say it.
He came in 25th. That is amazing. I mean, I'm scrolling down on the Las Vegas results. You have to go to the 34th spot to find anyone else that isn't 1,000 rated. Brodie's sitting at 999, 23rd place. He's cashed in. You know what? Fair play to the guy. He came out. He played big. Lots of mistakes. Let's not say he had a perfect round. Lots of mistakes. A few tweaks that maybe that's just, that's entering the Pro Tour. There's lots of things that you need to get used to. But yeah, really excited to see what this guy can pull off moving forward, because he's clearly dedicated. He's proved that he is a guy that needs to be watched. So excited to see what comes up.
Oh, massively. He's there. He's been playing disc golf, because if I turn around and say he's been playing for a year, people get upset because he's playing Ultimate for many years. But he's playing disc golf for a year, and to come onto the pro scene and do what he's done, he's 999 rated. I have no doubt that after the next ratings update in a couple of weeks' time, he will be over that 1,000 mark. And at that point, he said he's going to stop caring about ratings. He has made mistakes. If you speak to him, he will nowhere near and say he's played his best golf. He said his putting was off all week, but when needed, he got that scuba out many times and made some incredible shots. I think day one, he made an 80-foot scuba and gave the fans a scuba salute. That's going to be his thing. That's what he'll be remembered for. He'll be Brodie Smith, the scuba guy. I'm very excited to see what he's going to do this year. I made a very bold comment, didn't I, in my prediction, saying I think he'll win an event. Do you know what? I think he will. I generally do think he'll win an event this year.
Well, that's still needs to be seen to be believed. But you know what? Based on his performance, he's definitely a couple of years, I think, but maybe this year. Let's see. Let's move over to the FPO. We've got to give the FPO some love because you know what? Those guys are also killing it. We've got to talk about the top spot. Paige Pierce took the top spot. It's not surprising. It's another tick on her list of wins and the first tick for the year. And we're going to see a lot more, I'm sure. But you know what? She wasn't sitting comfortably at the top. It was a battle between her and Katrina Annan all the way to the finish. 1 point difference, 1 stroke difference, I should say. It wasn't comfortable. They were just they were trading that top spot all the way through. So it just shows that there are people in the FPO that can challenge, and she can't just go into these tournaments assuming the win every single week. But I also want to talk about third and fourth in the FPO, because again, really interesting competition there. A little bit of battling. You've got Jessica Weiss and Owen Scoggins. Now, Owen Scoggins, she took the last year off, so you thought she might be a little bit rusty coming in, but nope, she pulled that fourth spot, and that was only fourth. Could have been third, but Jessica Weiss was throwing phenomenally all weekend, and one putt was a 50-foot par save putt just to keep a notch ahead of Owen. So again, really great battles in the FPO. Obviously, same challenges that the MPO had with the wind, the conditions. So it's great to see that there isn't just a dominant player over in the FPO. There's still these challenges, there's still these fights and these battles that make disc golf wonderful to watch.
Yeah, I think Paige Pierce starting as she means to go on, really. But great battle between her and Katrina. But fair play to Hayley King. After a couple of days, she was showing 31st and she battled her way back to 5th. Fair play to her, because she's obviously gone back there and thought, I need to change this up, and she's gone out there and smashed it. And one thing, I don't know if everyone saw over our Insta stories, there was quite a few players on Sunday, and I thought this was a fitting tribute, and I loved it. There's quite a few players out there wearing red and black for Tiger, which I thought was awesome, because there are a lot of people over in the PGA, PGA, I get mixed up now, were doing exactly the same thing. So it's nice that we've come over and done that. I know Paul was in black and red, Jordan Castro was, Hayley King, which is awesome to see.
Oh, absolutely. It's just one big family over there, right? Between ball golf, disc golf, they're all playing the same tunes. So yeah, it was great to see and really respectful.
Apart from foot golf, we'll leave that to them.
Yeah, well, I don't think we're going to get into foot golf too much on this podcast. That's I think most people know our opinions on that if they know us. But awesome. Well, let's jump on to what people have been waiting for. They've sat through a fair few minutes of us gibbering around what happened on Vegas, but earlier this week we had the wonderful opportunity to sit down with Nate Sexton, obviously a legend. It was great to hear what the guy had to say. So we'll jump straight into that, and we'll see when that's finished. So, Nate Sexton, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the show. How's it going, man?
Oh, I'm great. Thanks for having me, guys.
We are really, really excited to have you on. As I said, we are both massive fans of you. And the fact that we are sitting on a Zoom call now with Nate Sexton for us is incredible. But it's a massive honor. So really, really appreciate it.
We'll have to pinch ourselves later.
Happy to be of service.
So, as we understand it, you're currently in Vegas. You've just arrived, so you're ready to try and hold on to your title that you claimed last year at the Las Vegas Challenge. This podcast actually comes out after the fact, so we would have known how you've done, but both me and Dale are fairly confident that you're going to smash it.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty crazy. I'm coming in. I'm not really putting huge expectations. I'm just trying to come in and play my best. And number one goal is not injure myself, because that injury at USDGC ended up nagging me like up until basically now. So it's like almost gone, but it's still in the back of my mind. So I would love to just be able to compete and feel healthy and kind of commit to what I'm trying to do. But yeah, it's amazing how quickly a year has passed that I haven't been playing on the elite level in almost a year, because I played Vegas and I played Memorial the very next week, and then COVID hit, and then I tried to go to USDGC but had the injury. So almost an entire year away from the game, but I get a nice welcome back with some of the best players in the world. So it's going to be fun.
Well, I think that's kind of the elephant in the room for myself and Dale. So we are amateurs to the sport, and actually we picked up disc golf through the pandemic.
Yeah.
So something that's really exciting for us is we, of course, have watched your coverage on Jomez, some of the older content and some of the old rounds on YouTube. But now having the opportunity to see you in live coverage and sort of up-to-date coverage, we're really excited to sort of follow you along this year.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're a pro. That's what you do. So, in terms of the mindset coming off of COVID, is it business as usual, or is there any tweaks or slight changes that you're making to get ready?
Well, I'm here really early. Part of that is because I have a ton of videos to make between my commitments to Innova and Jomez and work maybe something with GK Pro and with the Disc Golf Pro Tour and with the LVC. I have like a ton of things. This is my kickoff, the podcast for my Vegas media blitz because I have so many things to do since I've been gone. That and I also want to practice a little bit slower than I normally would because I don't want to just rush right out there so excited to be back and hurt myself because I feel like that's kind of what I did at the USDGC. I sitting around at home all the time for COVID, trying to stay in shape, trying to play when I can, but my wife is working literally all the time, and I have my daughter who's only 3.5, so practice rounds are not as common as I would like. And so then I think I went out there and I was just so excited. I'm just throwing like, I can just throw all day. And then I hurt myself. So I'm here super early and I'm going to practice kind of slowly and do my best to, get my warm up to be as long and complete as it can be. But yeah, other than that, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just got here, but it'll probably start feeling more like business as usual as I see all my old friends, and it's always weird now that the masks are a thing because I haven't really experienced all that much of that, to be honest, compared to most of the competitors because most of them were out here a little bit more last year. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I won this last year and I didn't come in thinking, oh, I'm about to win. I just practiced and come and try to play my best, and it happened to work. I got hot that first week. And yeah, who knows? Maybe it could happen again. It'd be a cool story if I just kind of took a year off and then came back and didn't miss a beat. But I'm really not that concerned with the result. I just want to come out and be back and throw them.
Yeah, and just go out and enjoy it. And there's me thinking that you were there a week early to enjoy Vegas, but obviously you've got a lot of commitments.
Yeah, it's hard. Well, it's hard. It's like as much as I would like to, it's like I've been gone so long trying to stay responsible with COVID. So like even now that I'm here in kind of a cool city, it's like I'm just basically going like hotel course. I got my, traveling has changed for me, and I hope this will go away. But like I'm doing like my own hotel room, my own rental car, all this stuff to like help me quasi isolate. So it's like way more expensive to come to these tournaments now than it used to be because I used to always share with buddies and just ride around with friends. So yeah, I mean, I can't really have it both ways as far as like, oh, now I'm gonna go get like a nice dinner, so it's like it's weird. I'm just gonna be eating takeout and I'm on a work trip for sure.
I think there should be a big Sexy Berry tour bus.
That'd be cool. Yeah, like a bubble, and yeah, that would be cool. In my younger days, before I had all my family commitments, I would have signed up for that.
I think some of the points you just made about actually maybe taking it a bit slow coming back is going to be really interesting to the listeners of this show, because in the UK we're still in lockdown. Both me and Dale are not playing currently, and a lot of people are eager to get out, and they're going to be trying to just rip those shots off the tee. So I think actually maybe there's a lesson to be learned about, let's not jump the gun. Let's, when we can start playing again, take it a little bit more casual. I'm not suggesting that it's casual, but let's get back into it slowly.
Yeah, not even casual so much as just like measured. Like you're just going to be out there and making sure you're not just going straight out of the car to like the long hole and even though that's fun. It's a little more risky, I think, when your body hasn't been conditioned to be playing every day.
I think we all probably have the story of the first shot of the day has ruined the day because you've pulled something or twisted something. I know that's happened to me enough times.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely. One thing that I wanted to bring up is obviously we've watched you through your YouTube from Champs versus Chumps. Now, I didn't know if you was aware of this, but I wanted to ask your opinion. Volume 4 of Champs versus Chumps, Cynthia.
Yeah.
She's got a full tour this year. Pro dynamic.
Yeah.
How amazing. That must make you feel incredible. You've watched this player going from a 14-year-old out driving Port Beth to now a full tour.
Yeah. I mean, I knew if it was obvious that day that if she was interested in pursuing it, there would be at least an opportunity to see how she stacks up. It's like it's a lot more than just your arm. You got mental game and everything else. But she's a great kid. I wish her well. And every time I see her, it's a fun little hello to remember that day of now I've seen her in a lot of situations because she's out there playing. But yeah, I did see that she's gonna put college on hold at least for a bit and try the tour thing. And I wish her well.
That's incredible. And I think there's been such a growth in FPO, hasn't there? And that's one thing we're trying to really do over in the UK. We've got a few people that are really pushing it. But do you think this year we're going to see a Page Beers era, or do you think there's going to be more competition?
Well, I think it hinges heavily on the Europeans. If the Europeans can come in and be part of it, then I think we'll see some really good competition. Either way, we will. Haley King, Katrina Allen, not to be discounted in any way, and others. But I would say that the European women are the key to the most amazing FPO season we've ever seen. If we can get them safely here, but again, like I'm in no rush. I want it to be safe, and I want everyone to be healthy. So whenever they get here, it'll be great.
No, definitely. We'd love to get to a European Open. I've watched videos of the Beast in Nokia, and that course just looks incredible.
It's fun. It's really fun, and there's a lot of other great ones right around there to go check out too.
It's definitely on our plan over the next couple of years. Obviously, at the moment we can't travel anywhere, and I've got a little one on the way this year, so it might halt my disc golfing traveling for a bit. But we're
Sure.
certainly gonna try and get over to Europe, aren't we, Rob?
Yeah, no, and
Awesome.
maybe Nate can share some tips with you later on about how to maneuver a buggy around a disc golf course.
Sure, yeah.
I've already said to the missus that I'm still want to play my disc golf on a Sunday, and I'll take the stroller with us.
Yeah, it's not that bad, especially little babies. So easy. They're just gonna sleep and do hardly anything the whole time. It gets a little more harder when they start to say they don't want to go, or they have other things they want to do. But you're a long way from that.
You distract them with rolling dice because she did a great job of that.
Yeah, she does great almost always. But yeah, it's like for me, it's like a kind of like a using a mix of like reverse psychology and Jedi mind tricks to like decide that disc golf is going to be a fun thing to do with our morning today. Because I want to do it pretty often, and she's kind of like, are we going to do that? I'm like, well, yeah, well, think about this. I mean, we could bring the stuffed animal. Oh,
Or we can tell
so
Germs to do his job.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, if Germ's there, then we got no problems. He makes it fun for everybody.
I can sense some Germ got a bogey merch in the making.
toddler t-shirts only.
So Nate, all of our listeners will know you from multiple aspects of disc golf. Obviously, as a player, but the work you're doing around commentary and media around disc golf. Obviously, ESPN at the end of the year, huge for the sport. A question that I really want to delve into is around the evolving media. So obviously, we started out as one camera just capturing the tee shots, and now we're seeing 4 or 5 cameras per production company with slow motion, capture flights, follow flights. Do you think that this growth might affect the game itself? So it's very fun loving and easygoing as a sport, or it can be at least. Do you think it might maybe make it slightly more official? Maybe dress codes start to become slightly stricter, some conduct starts to become slightly stricter, or do you just think it's going to do nothing but help the growth of the sport and keep driving?
I guess I would almost argue that those kind of things are part of help growing the sport. Like, even though they might feel like a minor negative in the moment, I think that's certainly happening, whether intentional or not, just because your behavior is kind of like immortalized by the camera. So people need to be a little bit careful with like how they're going to act if there's somebody there to document, and you could turn this whole thing into a meme if you go too crazy. So that happens already. The dress code thing, I think players have been getting more kind of dressing fancier for years now. It seems like everyone's kind of doing a little bit more to look the part on the course, whatever.
Is that what Germ calls it?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he's at the forefront there. He's doing experimental stuff. But But yeah, I think overall it's only helping, and as the game grows and as there's more money and all that, and inevitably it becomes more serious. But I don't have any problem with that.
No, I think, well, the first day that Rob ever met me, I turned up to a disc golf competition wearing full on golf clothing because I didn't know what to wear to a disc golf course.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I would say we're pretty close on the professional tour. It's not so different from what you would see from the ball golfers.
And do you think that we're going to see an era where sort of ball golf, the way that's produced, and disc golf is going to align, where the sport is only growing? Do you think we're going to be in a position soon where, stuff like Fountain Hills, where they won't shut the course off, we're going to see courses shut off completely and that is only disc golf going on there?
Well, that's Las Vegas for you. We used to play at a park called Sunset Park, and it was fine, but there was a lot of people in the park just kind of walking around. And Memorial is obviously the kind of the chief example of that. Both of the courses there are just kind of like slammed with people just recreating as you're trying to play this professional tournament. So Vegas, it's not cheap to rent the Wild Horse Golf Club, but they're doing that now because then we get exclusive use and we can produce this event and have the look and have the lack of distractions and have all of that happening. So I think you'll see that more and more. It's not so much that the game will get so big that like public parks are going to close down, but that the tournaments will leave those venues and seek out places where they can pay for the exclusive use and have the property for a week or two and be able to make the big show.
Nice. We just need to get Christmas tree farms everywhere so we can have a Maple Hill everywhere.
Yeah, except not every Christmas tree farm is Maple Hill. I've found there's that's a special place because it's like Christmas tree farm, yes, but then like there's so much of it that's like lakes and other woods and hills, and that place is a dream property. I got to find out if there's more of those, and I need to get in line to buy one.
Absolutely, it's our dream course. It's where we'd love to play. If anyone ever said to us, "Where do you want to play?" Maple Hill. Just because.
Yeah, you wouldn't be disappointed. It's really fun. And with all the tee pad and basket combinations, you could play there for a week and not get bored at all.
Maybe we'll plan that one, Rob.
Yeah.
Maybe. I think we'd have to do the tee basket combos that don't go over water though, because I don't necessarily trust my distance yet on some of those holes.
Sure. That's fine.
I get nervous watching you guys throw.
we get nervous too.
Well, he doesn't see it because if I stood up to, I think Brody put a picture, it's 393 foot carry over water. I mean, what am I throwing? In the water.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted to touch on probably I think one of the most successful discs out there, the Firebird.
Mm.
How much do you love that disc?
As much as a man can love a disc, I'll say. I don't know. It's great. I mean, it's been a career maker for me. And obviously it's my preferred disc for throwing. I mean, I pretty much use it. I look for any excuse to use it, even to my detriment sometimes, where it's like an obvious backhand and I'll be like, I'm pretty sure I can make the Firebird work. And sometimes I question those decisions in hindsight, but no, it's a huge part of the way I play. It's a huge part of the success that I've had in the disc golf world and with my career. And, I don't know that I would still be sitting here right now and still playing if it weren't for the royalties and the support that Innova has shown me through the vehicle of the Sexton Firebird.
It's a very popular disc over in the UK. The one thing we struggle over in the UK is to get discs because obviously at the moment things are on a decline for obviously production because of COVID. Discs to get over here is awful. But there is a selection of people that absolutely love your discs, and I think they're going to be very excited when they hear the podcast and you're on it because
nice.
It's big for them. Rob, what was the story that we got sent in this week about Firebird?
Yeah, so the last episode was about losing discs because obviously it's a big part of the game.
Sure.
And obviously there's a lot of conversations around finding uninked discs and morality around what do you do with them? Do you keep them? One of our listeners actually managed to track down and find and return a Sexton. I think it was 2016 Sexton Firebird, which
nice
over here would carry quite a hefty price.
Here too.
One thing I would love to know though is surely it must pain slightly not seeing a disc thrown because as soon as it's made, it's born to be used in a game. Do you do you kind of wish that every Firebird was thrown, or do you accept that they become now a collector object?
I'm totally fine with the collector thing. I think it drives the hype, so like it's cool. Like, everything is that way. Every sport and every activity has these niche rare things, and some people, those people also throw them, but they have certain ones that they prefer to hang up and have as like an art piece in their house, or just a collection they're super proud of. So no, that doesn't bother me at all. As long as, as long as those people or most people are still out there throwing them in some form, I don't care if they want to save a couple. And, I have ones I'm not throwing. I have ones in boxes on my wall, or in shadow boxes on my wall. So, I can't really fault anybody else. And I think overall it's probably done great things for the, just kind of the fervor around the Sexton Firebird, because people kind of feel like you can't, you can buy as many as you can get, and you can just resell them later, so it's like, it's a good place to be in for me, that people feel like it's like almost an investment in a way, which is like a strange thing to think that you could, like, even a couple of years ago, I don't think that would have made any sense to say, but now it does feel that way. It kind of feels like, if you had the opportunity to buy 50, why wouldn't you? Because you could just trade them or sell them or keep them. And it seems at this point very, very unlikely that you would be in a situation where you're like, man, nobody wants these things.
No, definitely. Did you feel that we'd ever be in a position where discs are selling for over $200 when you buy them for $19.99?
Uh, I mean, I knew that does happen. But yeah, it's pretty crazy how quick it can happen now. Like, I just did this little like release just personally. I ordered 1,000 discs, and my buddy helped me ship them out. And I kind of thought that would be a little different, to be honest, because that's just me commissioning art and making a disc. I could do that anytime I want. When Innova makes a disc, and it's like a big honor. It's like not just me getting some money together and ordering these discs, but the collector market sort of reacted to it as if it was the other way, which fine with me, I guess. But yeah, I saw some of those. I sold them for $25, and it's like not really my business. I'm the retailer in this situation, so I don't really see a way that I would like monetize a lot of that value. But it is sort of weird to see like a disc that I just sold for 25 turning around for 150 or 200 like the next week. That's
Yeah.
strange. But like, yeah, at the same time, I mean, I don't think I'd do very well putting them up on my website for 150. I think I'd get some hate for that. So, so yeah, I mean, it's weird.
Fair enough.
It's weird, but it's a fact of life. And yeah, I wouldn't say I have a problem with it, but it is amusing and kind of incredible sometimes how quickly, like with these Las Vegas Firebirds, I'm sure we're going to see those things go crazy in a couple days here.
Well, if I had a DeLorean from the second Back to the Future, I would go back and tell my past self to buy Bitcoin and Sexton Firebirds. They're the two.
Yes, that would be a good combination.
So Nate, one of the podcasts was about losing discs. Like I mentioned, we'd love you just to give a quick story about a time where you've lost a disc which meant the most to you, and one that you stay up at night thinking about if only you threw it differently.
Oh man, I've lost so many over the years that there isn't like nothing jumps into my mind that's like, oh my gosh, if only I had that one back. But I've definitely lost some really nice Firebirds that I've really liked, and Destroyers is probably the disc I lose the most, just because that's what I'm using to try my craziest shots and to do the riskiest things I can do. So I'll often have people message me and say, "Hey man, do you have like, could I buy like your beat up old Destroyers from your bag that you used to throw?" And I pretty much always say they don't exist. Destroyers die in a blaze of glory. Like, it's very rare for like one to like get to a point where I'm like, this is just too flippy, and I'm going to put it on a shelf. Because my flippiest Destroyer is always going to be the disc that I'm like, well, maybe I can make it over the water. Like, let's try it with this one, because you want to get it up really high and see if you can get that turn or whatever. So I think, yeah, I've lost a lot of those, well-seasoned discs and even new ones too. But the new ones I don't really blink an eye about it, because it's like, all right, I'll just replace that. And, one of the major perks of being a sponsored player is that I'm not that super attached to what I have, even though they're cool discs and I like them, but it's not too hard for me to find a workable replacement at any time. So yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say I've had like I don't have one coming to mind that's like that if only I had that disc back, everything would be different.
Awesome. Well, Nate, thank you so much for joining the show. We know your time is precious, and we hope that you absolutely killed it at Vegas, because obviously this is now post tournament. But thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to have you on in the future.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, it's been brilliant, and I look forward to your YouTube video in 4.5 years' time.
Yeah, it's gonna be big. It's gonna be huge. I don't know who I'm gonna. Maybe I'll go like full budget. I'll make like a really good video.
No worries. And for our listeners that may not know obviously where to find you, I'm sure they will. Just give yourself a shout out where they can go and find you.
Yeah, I'm at Frisbee Nate on Instagram. Nate Sexton is my athlete page on Facebook. Yeah, that's probably the most important places. Just to see where I am and see what I'm doing for my tour. It's kind of an evolving situation right now, but I'm going to be out there as much as I possibly can, and yeah, really excited to mix it up with everybody again.
Awesome. And I don't think there'd be anyone listening to this podcast that hasn't gone over and listened to Running It of Nate Sexton, which is your podcast, obviously.
Yeah, but, try that out.
Yeah, it's a great listen. I look forward to Fridays because of it. So if you haven't, go check that out.
Thanks.
Brilliant. Well, thanks so much for joining us, and hopefully speak to you soon.
Yeah, sounds good, guys.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Nate Sexton, what an awesome guest. And like Dale said earlier, just getting started. This is the caliber that we've got now, and we're definitely sticking to it.
Yeah, mate, it's awesome. It was quality to sit down with him. One thing I really like about that interview, I don't know if our viewers or listeners picked up on, we were his first media outlet of his Vegas tour, out of his whole tour schedule. And I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's on ESPN. Obviously, Jomez, he's on Disc Golf Pro Tour coverage. He didn't need to sit down with a little UK-based disc golf podcast, but he did, because obviously he loves growing the sport, and obviously is always loving having a chat about it. So yeah, it was awesome to have. But that is about all we have time for this week. So Dale, why don't you let our listeners know where they can find us outside of the podcast?
Yeah, if you go onto Instagram and look for the Amside Podcast, we release all of our guests on there. We release everything we've got coming up, and we have some great viewer interaction. It's really good to see. We love hearing your comments. As always, send us an email, amsidepodcast@gmail.com, with any feedback. And it's going to be the first time I'm going to ask this today, but if you are listening to any podcast that lets you leave a review or rate us 5 stars, would love it. You know, would love to know how we're doing. So yeah, go check us out.
Amazing. And one more mention of the sponsor of the show, dischub.co.uk. Obviously, earlier on in the show, I mentioned all the benefits: great stock, great prices, great delivery. So go check them out, and they're a wonderful support of the show. So you help them out, they help us out, and we all get along.
Sounds good, man. We'll see you all next week.
If we don't see you on the course, we will see you on the M side.